Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, wonderful individual. Today, I would like to speak about the first hierarchy, or seraphim, cherubim, thrones, of course, and I will also count the first link of the second hierarchy, which is the Kyriadites, or the spirits of wisdom. These four lines, links in the chain, I don't quite know how to, are incorruptible. They are in the lower and higher Devakan, which is the spirit lines, which they experience, to say it put into simple terms. They enjoy the direct gaze of the Godhead. They get their direct orders and their direct will impulses from the Godhead, which means it is impossible for them, nor would who would in the first place. It is impossible for them to act outside of their nature like we human beings can. For when it comes to the first hierarchy, the whole they hold the space for the lower hierarchies to work upon the substance that was released into that space, in a sense. And this substance, which was warmth, when the first sense perceptible element that ever came into being was warmth. This warmth was worked upon, differentiating types of warmth. But this sphere that we now are within, in a sense, this whole universe, this sphere, is held up by the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones. In our case, we have the constellations around our solar system. These constellations are communities of spiritual beings. Their physical being is the stars, they're fixed stars, and their spiritual beings, well, they are gigantic, but they hold the space for us to develop and grow, since they have already kind of completed their development, and now they are the highest gods, kind of, under the deity. They are the highest of his angelic forces, in a sense. And, well, it is so sublime and so high up, they cannot be corrupted. As I said, they have the direct impulse and the orders and the will of God that they follow. Imagine that. Imagine you just know everything truthfully, and you don't have any doubt, you don't have any fears. You kind of can admire such amazing, although it's not their choice per se, but still it is that feeling, that feeling of they are home, that feeling of they are being guided by the Most High. Of course, now that we are human beings down here on earth, we do have the Christ, which, well, was a God that came into becoming in human form, residing for 3 years in human form. Then he got to know death. He had never experienced that before. No God had ever done so. In this case, these spiritual gods. He came from that height, remember. And you just want to huddle up under that sun, At least I do. For I know that by immersing oneself in the Christ principle, in the Christ impulse, in the redemption of the soul and spirit, we over time become more and more like the higher worlds. But it is a steady, consistent journey, and it is a process, it is a constant, ongoing thing, but it is what actions and direction we choose to go towards now that makes the difference, So if we are sitting in the future hoping that something will happen then, we are not here. If we are in the past ruminating and feeling pain over what happened, we are not here. When we have accepted and gone through all memories of our past and come to terms with them, accepting them, allowing oneself, it's a certain way, it's a certain forgiveness, and also a certain acceptance of self. When you have done so, you move forward. For there is nothing in the way anymore, for you have gone through it. But it is about not allowing oneself to become obsessed with these things, for obsession never leads to anything good other than stress. And it is a strain on the being, on our whole being. So, by holding oneself strong and sturdy to both discipline but also gentleness, but also staying to truth and honesty, and sometimes that might hurt a little. That is just how it is. But it is a ripping off a band-aid type of hurt. It only is annoying for a moment, and then once you have digested it, it actually makes sense. But it is because the knowledge we have today, we believe is alpha omega, but it is sorely mistaken. That is 1 out of 12 views to see the world through a lens, and that is world of thoughts. As I have mentioned many times, 12 different worldviews, 7 soul moods. I will just list them up just because. We have idealism, rationalism, you have materialism, mathematism, you have sensationalism, you have mathematism, realism, sensationalism, and then you have, of course, well, I normally I have them all in my being, for it is kind of a remembering rule. You see, every constellation stands for a type of lens you can see the world through, either through ideas or through reason or through mathematics or through sensation or through reality, direct reality perception. But of course, it also is based on how much knowledge you have. And you have dynamism through dynamic forces, that means gravity or magnetism and such. And you can see the world through monadism, where you see everything as a monad, as one in a sense, as one-sided. You can also see it as many, as pneumatism or spiritualism. Pneumatism and spiritualism are just varieties of depth and intensity, I guess, on spiritual activity and spirits. And then you have psychic forces or psychism. So materialism is also one of these, where you see only the physical sense perceptible. But we can see the ideal. We can perceive, or we can train ourselves to see the ideal. We can also train ourselves to see reason. It is about what the situation asks of us, to be flexible enough to be able to perceive the world through what is necessary at any given time, and to be able to banish any thought and feelings that we do not need at this moment. It's just, you have no need to be here. Down into the subconscious you go. For right now, as it stands, there is nothing to gain on thinking about it. There is nothing to gain other than stress, other than pain. So it is about being able to clear your inner being. Allowing your inner being to be clear, and have clarity and a certain inner love. The deeper in morality and compassion and understanding and love we come into, the closer we get to the first hierarchy. But the first hierarchy is the most sublime and the most difficult to even grasp as a concept. For it is such a impossibly high level of spirituality. Also, think about the Godhead. Yeah, you can't. Your mind gets blown, because it's everything, every single thing, with life and death and everything in between. Everything is a stage play in a sense. And when we pass through the gate of death, the masks are taken off. Once this earth development is over, even our adversary forces will take off their mask and say, hey, we actually did our sacrifice too, you know. You think it is fun to be these adversary forces? course not. It's just as fun as us human beings being here down with each other. As we know, we do share this world with types of beings. That is all I want to say with that. But the first hierarchy, the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones. The thrones sacrificed. They had come to such a far development that they could sacrifice their substance, their being, and their being was their will substance became heat or warmth. And this heat and warmth was kind of laid down as spiritual building blocks for the lower hierarchies, that their egos reside within that heat. And just as we have physical earth bodies here, they had heat, we had heat bodies. And then we condensed down and became more gaseous, and then watery, and now we are earthly again. Now we are meant to shed this physical and become more spiritual again. Of course, over a processive period of time, by redeeming and ennobling and spiritualizing and purifying our being over lifetimes. That is what we need to. It's the patience. It's knowing that we cannot be in a hurry with this. There is nowhere to go. There is no goal to reach. There is no specific place you need to be. You know that, because it is an eternal development. Once you come into that, you start to know life. You start to know the present. And the present is exactly that, a present from the higher worlds. And that is what I will leave you with today. I will now have a weekend break. So I just wish to have a little more positive and kind of that high feeling of the most sublime. At the same time also feel a little inadequacies of the human being, for we have a long way to go yet. We are just about halfway there, a little beyond that. In this earth development, mind you. So, by holding ourselves steady, consistent, dedicated, step by step, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, day by day, and you will take in, and it will stick, and you will be thorough, and that is when it becomes part of your soul and spirit. It is like a second. It's like breathing to you. And that is what we strive towards, making understanding, confidence, and such as natural as breathing. The faith to take the next step every day as natural as breathing. Yes, it is a challenge. Yes, it is not easy. Yes, we can tell ourselves so many different reasons as not to do this. You see, cultivating and developing ourselves. But it won't lead you anywhere. It won't develop. It won't let you develop. It won't bring you anything of. But of course, if your intention is only to find something to eat, I guess it will be useless. But in the end, it is our interest in things. And that is what I will leave you with. May you be protected, guided, blessed, loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, ancient masters of old, and ancestors from every incarnation. And may you be provided for with all that you need to survive, live, thrive, being creative, inspirational, and healing to the world, so others also can choose to follow when the time is right and their courage is at the most high. And may you be safe and sound. Have a nice weekend. See you. Love you, my dear sibling. Goodbye.